Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the DFO DFS show. Actually, it's the DFO DFS report now. I kind of mix those up every now and again still. But yeah, welcome to the show. We've got a massive 10-game slate on our hands tonight, so I'm not going to waste too much time. A lot to get to, tons of games across the board, tons of nice spots. Unfortunately, last night, not the greatest night for sure. But I was just getting back on the saddle. It's my first time in a couple weeks. So, if you listen to just the charts last night, you probably landed on LA2. They rated out very highly in the charts. I wasn't as in love with them as the charts were, and that's on me. So hopefully you listen to the charts and not me. But let's go. Let's get into tonight's 10-game slate. It starts off with New Jersey and Florida. We've got Mackenzie Blackwood likely to start for the Devils. Spencer Knight confirmed moments ago to go for the Florida Panthers. The Tampa Bay Lightning will go with Andrei Vasilevsky against Frederik Andersen for the Carolina Hurricanes. Jake Allen starts for the Montreal Canadiens. Most likely going to see Cal Peterson for the Kings on the tail end of a back-to-back. Jonathan Quick also burned me last night as well. I think maybe rule of thumb, if I'm playing Jonathan Quick, you never play Jonathan Quick. If I'm not playing Jonathan Quick, then you play Jonathan Quick and we'll be fine. Jeremy Swayman confirmed to go for the Bruins. Anton Forsberg was the first goalie off this morning for the Senators. Although they would not name a starting goalie, it does look like it's going to be Forsberg. Unclear who starts, whether or not it's Nedeljkovic or Greiss. For the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers will go with Stuart Skinner in his first game of the season, second game of his career. The Winnipeg Jets go back to Connor Hellebuck. He returns after missing a few games with illness. Jordan Binnington starts for the Blues. The Blackhawks will go back to Marc-Andre Fleury against his former team, with the Pittsburgh Penguins going with Tristan Jarry. No surprise, expecting to see Jakob Markstrom for the Calgary Flames. Aiden Hill gets the start for the Sharks. Robin Lehner most likely going to be between the pipes for the Vegas Golden Knights. Against the Kraken, who will counter with Chris Driedger. He returns from injury tonight. And then the Vancouver Canucks will go with Yaroslav Halak, I believe just his third start of the season. Unclear who starts for the Ducks. I would expect to see John Gibson. He had a really, really good week. I believe he was NHL's third star last week. So, wouldn't be surprised to see John Gibson. A couple comments here coming. It takes a while to get back in the swing of things for sure. David says the Leafs. Yep. Had a lot of AA one-offs, missed out on Dano. Hey, that's all right. AA looks really good. Nice to see him. Forsberg is ill. I doubt he's in net. Definitely could be Matt Murray. Really shouldn't matter either way. Both not very good. Pretty good spot for the Bruins. But let's get into the charts for tonight. I just realized I forgot to plug my laptop in, so we might have to make a break for it here for the charge of the next 20 minutes. We'll see how we do here at 30%. But all right. Unsurprisingly, we've got Edmonton 1 with Leon and Connor McDavid together, grayed out as the best play on tonight's slate. A little bit closer than last night when the Leafs looked like the best play and then completely busted. But super duper expensive to play Edmonton 1 right now. You got Draisaitl at 9,100, McDavid at 9,200. The Jets top line still looks pretty solid. Evgeny Svechnikov looks nice at $2,600, but they grade out as the second best option. The Red Wings, we'll get into their numbers in a little bit, especially with Stuart Skinner. Definitely look like a nice play tonight. Although Stuart Skinner has posted really nice numbers in the AHL. In his first career start, he was absolutely torched. The Kraken's top two lines look like they're in play tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights simply just the worst defensive team in hockey right now, so it's not really all that surprising. Vancouver 2, their numbers are always a little bit funky. But all right, let's go game by game here. We know who's kind of at the top. Is this Driedger's first start for the Kraken? Yeah, he made a relief appearance earlier on the front end of a back-to-back, was expected to go the next night on the back-to-back, but then he got hurt in the relief appearance, never ended up starting. So yes, it is. Is that a Sider jersey? No, it's just a sweater, but I need to get a Sider and a Raymond jersey ASAP. But all right, let's break down the matchups because I'm going to race against the battery here. Let's start with the Lightning and the Hurricanes. Overall, this game doesn't look incredibly appealing. Obviously, two very, very good teams. But two goaltenders that are just playing outstanding. Andrei Vasilevsky, widely considered the best goalie in the world. Frederik Andersen's been an absolute stud so far for the Hurricanes. Matchup-wise, it looks like top line against top line, middle six against middle six. The fourth line should go head-to-head with each other pretty much. So pretty easy game to break down overall. But the best offensive line from the Lightning is their top line right now with Palat, Cirelli, and Braden Point. They're going to be going up against that Aho line, which grades out, pretty poorly defensively. So that should be a nice spot maybe here for Tampa Bay 1. They shouldn't be one of the more popular plays on the slate given some of the other firepower. So Tampa Bay 1 looks like they're in a nice spot, basically going head to head with the Aho line all night. The Aho line, while not terrible defensively, giving up plenty of high danger chances, and definitely the worst defensive line that the Hurricanes have to offer right now. So Tampa Bay 1, their best offensive line going up against the opposition's worst defensive line should be a recipe for success for them tonight. The rest of this team, really not a whole lot of interest there. Just not really all that great at 5v5. I told you guys yesterday that I would be adding a power play score soon. I have done so, but the Tampa Bay Lightning power play does not grade out very well tonight. Their power play hasn't been great. The Hurricanes penalty kill has been really solid. So one of the worst power play advantages on the slate here for the Lightning. Not much in way of the power play for the Hurricanes either. Their power play rated around league average right now, going up against the Tampa Bay penalty kill that has been very, very solid. So overall, this game doesn't look all that appealing. Again, from the Hurricanes side of things, their top line is by far their best offensive line. The way the lineup is currently constructed right now, not a great matchup with against Braden Point and Cirelli. So overall, on a slate that is loaded with a lot of potentially high scoring games, this one looks like one of the lower scoring games of the 10. So I think that Tampa Bay 1 is in a pretty nice spot. I'm not in love with the Carolina side of things right now. How does the Tampa Bay power play not work? Yeah, no Kucherov, man. It's not having Kucherov really hurts. We saw it last year, seeing it again this year. Second game of the night, you've got the Devils and the Florida Panthers. In terms of the matchups in this one, on both sides of the puck, it really doesn't look all that good. Below average matchups for all all 8 lines in this game. So really another one of these games that looks like it could be a little bit sludgy, especially considering the Panthers are coming in off of back-to-back. It is worth noting that moments before I came live, we did get word that Sam Bennett will be a game-time decision tonight. So if he returns, keep that in mind, something to keep an eye on. Luckily, it's the first game of the night or first time slot of the night, so you'll get that news right away. I would imagine if he returns, he'll slot right back in with Jonathan Huberdeau, bumping Anton Lundell to the third line center role and Sam Reinhart back to the wing. So some of these numbers that you're about to see may not be 100% accurate if Sam Bennett ends up being in the lineup. Overall, not really any hard matching going on in this game at all. As you can see here, basically just everybody versus everybody. Total mismatch. I can't say it. Mishmash, I guess, is kind of a stupid word to even use here. But overall, you've got the top 6 of the Devils playing pretty good hockey right now, but they're going up against a Florida team that is very, very good defensively, very sound defensively. Again, you'd like to put a little bit of stock into the second line being poor defensively, but those numbers will improve a little bit with Sam Bennett back in the lineup. They'll be a little bit better if he ends up playing. So it's hard to really put a lot of stock in that. And then conversely, you don't really know who's going to see a lot of that second line of the Panthers because the matchups there's really no matchups in this game. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly who is going to be facing off against who. The New York power play worked last night, but as a whole, that game, the Panthers absolutely dominated that game. They did not deserve to lose. The special teams is what crushed them. They gave up a power play goal. They gave up a shorthanded goal, but at 5v5, they absolutely dominated. The Devils have been pretty solid defensively. All 4 lines grade out slightly below average, but not bad. So I think the Panthers are certainly in play tonight. Whether it is the top line, with Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Duclair, they definitely grade out pretty well tonight. You only got 4,400 for Verhaeghe, 7,200 Barkov, 4,100 for Duclair. So pretty reasonably priced as well. And then again, just keep an eye out if Bennett plays. I think you could definitely get that second line at really low ownership. Huberdeau back under 6,000. Owen Tippett, he was moved to the third line last night, so he's somebody to keep an eye on tonight. If he's even on that second line. So a lot of moving parts. It's hard to really recommend anybody from the middle 6 of the Panthers without really knowing if Sam Bennett is going to play. But you should get him at super low ownership if he does end up playing. Florida 1 and 2 definitely look like they're in pretty good spots, and definitely bump Florida 2 up a little bit if Bennett ends up playing. We're at 23% here, so I might be able to squeeze in a couple more games before I got to make a break for it. The third game of the night, we've got the Montreal Canadiens against the LA Kings. The Kings coming in on the tail end of a back-to-back. Montreal looks like they're in a pretty decent spot. The matchups look really good, particularly for the second line of the Canadiens. Now, the issue is, though, that we don't really know who's going to be on the second line of the Canadiens. You've got Josh Anderson, who's currently there. He's listed as a game time decision. You've also have Christian Dvorak there, also listed as a game time decision. So if neither of them play, the second line is not going to have nearly the offensive numbers that they do right now. So it's really hard for me to sit here and say like, yeah, the matchup's great. If they're both in, I think that that's a line that's certainly worth targeting tonight. The matchup is terrific. As I mentioned yesterday, going up head to head with the Anze Kopitar line, which typically would not be a recipe for success. But right now, the way that line's currently constructed with Adrian Kempe and Dustin Brown, that trio has not had a whole lot of success, at least defensively, in the past. So if that's the line that they're going to see a lot of, I think that there is an opportunity for Montreal to have success. But with Dvorak probably banged up, which is why he's a game time decision. You've got Josh Anderson not feeling well; he's non-COVID illness. Are they a great play? Probably not. So I like the matchup, but I'm probably going to stay away just because I think there are better options on the slate than two guys that are sick or banged up. So the matchup is definitely good. As for the Kings, obviously that second line was terrific last night. The matchup isn't great for them tonight. Really, none of the Kings really grade out that well in terms of a matchup play, but it is Philip Deneau returning to Montreal. If you want to play the narrative, the offensive numbers have been terrific. 35 scoring chances, 4 per 60, 17 high danger, really, really good. They will, though, see quite a bit of this Montreal third line and first line, which have been pretty good defensively. So if you want to play the narrative, if you want to ride the hot hand, they played really well last night, then I think Deneau is an okay option, but I didn't play him last night. I don't really think that I'm going to go back to the well tonight and chase that, but they do grade out as the fourth best offensive line on the entire slate right now. So definitely something worth keeping in mind. All right, fourth game of the night, we've got the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. If you look to the Senators here, matchup-wise, absolutely dreadful. It doesn't get much worse from a matchup perspective. So really not a whole lot of interest in the Ottawa Senators tonight, particularly because they have some big-time COVID concerns going on right now. A couple guys out of the lineup. And then they just decided to inexplicably break up Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris, and Drake Batherson, really the only line that does anything for them offensively. So I love that line typically, but tonight, certainly, with them not playing together in a brutal matchup with the Bruins, I just will not be going to the Ottawa Senators tonight. As for the Bruins, certainly look like they're in play. The matchup's pretty good. You're going to have Boston one going up against the new Ottawa one. The second line will see a kind of a mixed match of a mixed bag of everybody else. The fourth line will take on quite a bit of a shutdown role against the top six of the Senators, and then the third line will take on a bottom six role. But they're just not that great. They're okay. I shouldn't say that. Studnicka, I guess, moving on to that third line could be a decent punt play at 2,500. Eric Howla at 2,600 or 2,700. If you want to get really, really go really, really value with it, then I guess that's an okay option. But the matchup really isn't all that great, so I would be focusing on the top six of the Boston Bruins. Clearly, this is a mistake. I think that's probably supposed to be 11.2. So yeah, Boston won. Obviously great. They look really, really good tonight. Because I made that mistake, their O score doesn't look quite as good as it should. So that's on me. But we don't have time to fix it. So we're going to fix that after the live show. And I do apologize for that. But as you can see here across the board, their offensive numbers are obviously terrific. 32 scoring chances, 4 per 60. But the second line, almost identical numbers to what Boston 1 offers. So both lines in play. Obviously, it's going to be hard, especially if you want to play the Red Wings top line, which has been electric, or the Oilers top line, which has obviously been insane. It's going to be hard to play Boston 1, but Boston 2 fits a little bit better if you want to look that route. Where are they here? Boston 2, just 12,200 to full stack. Taylor Hall, 5,200. Charlie Coyle, 4,300. Craig Smith is an incredible punt play at 2,700 tonight. But Boston 1, because I made that mistake, doesn't grade out as well as they should. I'm definitely going to have to fix that ASAP. But they're super expensive at 22,800. But they're a terrific play. Without a doubt, I don't think I need to tell you that. But Edmonton 1 is super expensive on FanDuel. Might keep people off them. Yeah, the ownership will kind of be spread out a little bit just because it's such a big slate. And also because Boston 1 has a great matchup. I think that'll soak up a little bit of Edmonton's ownership as well, especially because you're getting them basically, significantly cheaper. Just like if you play Bergeron and Pastrnak or Marchand and Pastrnak, just two of them, you're saving almost $4,000 on DraftKings compared to what you'd be playing for the top two dogs for the Edmonton Oilers. But all right, I will be back in 30 seconds. Let me just play this little song here for you guys. And I got to get this charted. It's like a NASCAR pit crew. We're back. All right. So yeah, that Boston one mistake obviously is going to hurt what they look like here, but they are definitely in play. So that is my bad. Moving on, a little bit out of breath here. Need a sip of the old Michelob. All right, Detroit and Edmonton. I don't think anybody really knows. Hold music, LOL, wasn't necessary, but okay. What? I think it was. It's fun. All right, Detroit. Let's just look at their numbers right now. Like, they're just insane. This top line is averaging 4.5 expected goals for per 60, which is unheard of. I said how good yesterday's Toronto One's numbers were. These are better. Right now, they grade out as literally the best line in all of hockey, which is insane. Lucas Raymond has been incredible. And, you know, I'm wearing this Red Wings shirt because I'm proud. And it's hard not to get excited about what Lucas Raymond has done. It's hard not to get excited about Dylan Larkin, Tyler Bertuzzi. This line has been, the numbers speak for themselves. They've been absolutely insane. They grade as the best offensive line in hockey right now at 5v5. So with Stuart Skinner starting in net, if he doesn't show out as well as he did, or shows kind of the same goalie that he was in his NHL debut, then this line could absolutely go off. Specifically because they are going to be going head-to-head with that Connor McDavid line. Obviously, Connor McDavid's line puts together really, really impressive numbers offensively, 32 scoring chances, 4 per 60, but they give up just as much as they get. 31 scoring chances against, 12 high danger. They're not a great defensive line. The Oilers as a whole, pretty, mediocre at 5v5. Where they make all their hay is on the power play. Their power play is legendary. But at 5v5, this isn't this hockey team still has work to do, still has a ways to go. So the Red Wings top line could certainly have some success tonight. And then, this is a game that they can win if they stay out of the penalty box. But as soon as you take penalties, Edmonton scores, and then you're screwed. So I think this definitely turns into a bit of a shootout. I do like Edmonton's side. If you look here, the Detroit Red Wings are not a good defensive hockey club. So obviously, even if with some of their 5v5 struggles, the Oilers can still have success at 5v5 because the Red Wings are not a very good defensive club. But this top line is playing incredible hockey, and I think that you should definitely have some ownership if you're building multiple lineups in Detroit 1 tonight. And this looks like a really nice game stack opportunity as well. The Red Wings second line looks pretty decent as well. They'll come at almost no ownership. Robbie Fabry at 4,000, Pius Suter at 3,200, Phillips Dean at 3,400. You can full stack them for 10,600. Pretty decent option there as well. Their matchup actually grades out a little bit better than Detroit 1. Obviously not quite the same firepower as Detroit 1, but still a pretty decent low-owned, low salary option for the Red Wings. Obviously, if we go back to power play score, I've skipped for the last couple games. But the first two games, really no interest. LA and Montreal, their power play looks okay. Boston's power play is, top 5 on the slate. And then you look at Edmonton's. It's just insane. Even though the Red Wings penalty kill has been pretty solid, the Oilers power play is just so insanely good. They're going to grade it as the best power play every single night, regardless of who they're playing against. Detroit's power play is terrible. Edmonton's penalty kill is pretty good. So really it's going to be the Red Wings top line is going to have to do their damage at 5v5 tonight. Bertuzzi is still only 4,800 on FanDuel. Yeah, he's an absolute must play. Coyle seems to only muster fantasy points every other game, so that'll fade that tonight. Yeah, if you want to play that narrative, that's fine. I've never been a huge Coyle truther, but he's played pretty well so far this year. So, and that line is clicking, firing on all cylinders right now. Their underlying numbers are incredible. Suter's on a hot streak right now. Suter, was Suter was just snake bit. He was literally leading the Red Wings in like expected goals for through the first couple of weeks of the season, had nothing to show for it. And then all that, shooting percentage, positive shooting percentage regression is coming his way, and he's been getting hot. So Detroit 2 is definitely in play tonight. It's just Detroit 1 has the much higher ceiling. But if we're trying to save salary here, Detroit 2 is a definitely a nice value option tonight. I don't know what game number this is, but we're on it. You got the Jets and the St. Louis Blues. As you know from previous shows, the Jets, not a very good defensive club. The way that the Blues are playing right now, not really a great defensive club either. They are also dealing with some COVID concerns or some injury concerns of their own. Torrey Krug out with COVID. Braden Shen dealing with an upper body injury. Two key pieces of their top six, top four defense and top six forwards. So yeah, this game really hard to break down from a matchup point of view. Really not a whole lot going on in terms of actual matchups. But like I said, Winnipeg's top line grades out extremely well. 17 high dangers, scoring chances 4/60 is incredible. 33 scoring chances for. Really, really good stuff from that top line. Even with Scheifele back, they've put Scheifele with Adam Lowry because his top line and his top six, I guess, as a whole has played so well. The problem for the second line is Paul Stastny's out tonight. Jansen Harkins will move up in Stastny's spot. The numbers just aren't quite as good without Stastny, so that's a little bit unfortunate there. The third line, even with Scheifele, the offensive numbers aren't terrific. So it'll probably be the top line for me tonight. They're going to go up mostly against the middle six of the Blues. The middle six of the Blues is where you want to target, specifically that second line right now. As good as Robert Thomas and Vladimir Tarasenko have been offensively, it's been a very high tempo, back and forth game that they've been playing. Literally to average 35 scoring chances for and 34 against per 60 is incredible. It's super high event hockey. So the same can kind of be said about the Jets top line, right? 33 scoring chances, 4/60, 30 again. So that looks like a super high event up tempo matchup. And I like both lines in that spot. So definitely St. Louis 2 is interesting to me, and definitely Winnipeg 1 with those two lines going head to head. Obviously, St. Louis 2 will see a little bit, they'll see a mix of the second and third lines of the Jets as well, who are even worse defensively. So St. Louis 2 is in a really, really nice spot tonight. I do like them as well. They grade out pretty well. Where are they at here? They grade out pretty well here. You got Cairo at 4,600, Robert Thomas at 3,300, way too cheap. Tarasenko is getting up there at 7K, but 14,900 a full stack. They look like one of the better plays on the slate. And then Winnipeg 1 grades out as the second best play on the slate, but they come in much more expensive. So I like both those lines in that game. I don't even know who Harkins is. I mean, yeah, it's not really. He's not Paul Stastny. Jansen Harkins, fine hockey player, but he just doesn't, move the needle on that second line at all. So yeah, that is that for that game. Oh, I guess I should take a look at the power play really quick. The Blues power play looks pretty solid. Overall, their power play is not bad. About middle of the pack, slightly above average. The Jets penalty kill, really one of the worst in the league going right now. So the Blues power play should be able to have a little bit of success tonight. If we want to just take a quick peek over there at who is on that top power play unit. Internet not running very fast right now, but you got Buchnevich, O'Reilly, Perron, Tarasenko, and Falk. So yeah, Tarasenko obviously continues, looks like a great play. 7,000 is a little pricey. He should come with very, very limited ownership though, just because of, how much everybody's going to want to play the Oilers and the Bruins, I would imagine. Blake Wheeler is 3,200 on DraftKings. Is that true? I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really done much. So yeah, he's 3,200. Scheifele at 4,900. I mean, obviously, two guys that are outstanding hockey players, have been for a long time. If you want a mini stack Scheifele and Wheeler at that price, I think it's worth a dart throw without question. Even though they're listed as a third line, they've still been playing a lot. So yeah, I think that's a nice little value mini stack. Obviously, their offensive numbers aren't great, but in terms of their matchup, they're going to see a lot of that top line and a lot of the fourth line for the Blues. So yeah, they're going to see quite a bit of Ryan O'Reilly, who's been pretty decent defensively. The fourth line's been really good defensively. So the matchup isn't great, but at that price, I mean, it's hard to really beat Scheifele at 4,900 and Wheeler at 3,200. So yeah, I think that's a fine value option if you want to stack those guys with some of the more expensive lines. The upside's certainly there for Scheifele and Wheeler. Let's just pull up their power plays. I believe they're both still on the top unit right now. So Scheifele and Wheeler both on the top power play unit with Dubois, Schmidt, and Morrissey. Kind of a 1A, 1B situation, the way that the Jets do it. But still they're on a unit together. I think it's a fine value play for sure. Chicago and Pittsburgh. So obviously things are still kind of changing with the coaching change in Chicago. Remains to be seen exactly how things are going to work out. Overall, this team is not very good at 5v5. The numbers aren't great. Even when you put Brinkat, Doc, and Kane together, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to muster anything. 29 scoring chances, 21, excuse me. Scoring chances 4 per 60, 1.9 expected goals for. Just really not great offensive numbers. They're not good defensively either. They're getting caved in. 40.4% expected goals for percentage, 44.4 or 44.7 Corsi for percentage. So not really a lot to like from the Blackhawks side of things. Even their top dogs really aren't that great. The good thing for them tonight, though, is that 53% of their ice time is expected to come against Jake Gensel, Brian Rust, and Jeff Carter with Sidney Crosby still out. They're terrible defensively. 39 scoring chances against per 60, 16 high danger. They grade out as the second worst defensive line on the entire slate. So even if the offensive numbers haven't been all that terrific for Chicago 1, the matchup looks pretty good tonight. Tristan Jarry, he's about his league average as you can get. I guess you could say he's not terrible, but he's not great either. So the matchup for Chicago 1 is pretty good. They grade out as a pretty decent play here tonight. DeBrincat 6,200, Doc 4,000, Kane 7,500. With that price, they're not going to get a lot of play tonight. So you'd like to see a little bit more from their offensive numbers, but the matchup looks really, really juicy. So I think that they're worth a dart throw. They're going to be super low owned because no one's going to pay 7,500 for Kane with some of these other big dogs on the slate. So Chicago 1 matchup looks really, really good. But same can be said for the Penguins top line because they're going head to head with that Chicago top line. So both lines are terrible defensively. Pittsburgh 1 could. I don't know if both these lines are going to go off head to head. One of them can win this matchup. Chicago 1, Pittsburgh 1. They're both brutal defensively. Pittsburgh 1 a little bit better offensively. So kind of just pick your poison there. Pittsburgh 1 grades out much better overall. 6,800 though for Gensel, 6,300 for Carter, 5,000 for Brian Russ. So 18,100 full stack, pretty expensive. But I like both those lines in nice matchups. They're going head to head. And then, they could certainly both have plenty of success tonight in a high event matchup. The rest of these two teams just really don't look all that great. Specifically, the Canes are the Canes. They basically are the Patrick Canes. The Blackhawks, just not a very good 5v5 team. And then you look at the rest of the Penguins roster, very, very good defensively. So whatever the Blackhawks second and third line are going to do, they're going to see tough matchups all night long. So not a whole lot to like from that side of things. The Penguins second line, pretty good with Rodriguez, Kapanen, and Zucker. Matchup wise, not quite as good. They're going to see about 60% of their ice time hard matched up against the Penguins second line, the Blackhawks second line, which is very, very good defensively. So again, just based on matchups, I hate to always just be like, play the top line. But I mean, they really are the only two that have good matchups and any chance of having any real success tonight. Calgary 1 continues to play extremely well, but the Sharks, for whatever reason, a good defensive club, even with all of their injuries right now. I don't know how much stock to put into these numbers because this lineup is still ravaged by COVID and injuries. So I think that it's hard to not have a little bit of interest in the Flames tonight. And I think one of the more interesting things is that you've got Johnny Gaudreau, which is 5,300 for some reason. Really brings down their price as a whole. Lindholm at 6,900, Kachuk at 6,900. So yeah, I think that the Flames, like if you just look at this Sharks roster, I mean they've been able to play pretty well, quite surprisingly, really. With everybody out of the lineup. But I mean, when you just take a look at this lineup, you'd have to imagine that the Flames should have plenty of success tonight. This is not a very good looking team right now. I mean, you look at that blue line and you would think that the Flames should have a lot of success. I just don't really, overall, you look at the numbers and, the second line's been outstanding for the Sharks. The rest of the other three lines grade out either slightly below or well below average. So the matchup is pretty good. I do like the Flames tonight. And I think that the one thing that's very intriguing about them is they're still expensive, even though they're not probably quite as expensive as they should be. They're still fair. They're still expensive enough where people are going to stay off them to play some of the bigger lines. So if you can get them at even slightly discounted ownership tonight, which I think you will, I think Calgary 1 is definitely intriguing. And then you got where is he at? Johnny Gaudreau, 5,300. I don't understand it at all. Lindholm, 6,900. Kachuk, 6,900. Overall, 19,100 to full stack. Pretty reasonable, all things considered, given how nice this matchup is. On the flip side, really poor matchups across the board for the Sharks. The Flames just playing outstanding hockey right now. Jacob Markstrom, one of the best goalies in the world. Right now, he's been lights out. So not a whole lot of interest in a Sharks team that's just incredibly banged up. Peter B says Burns is probably worth the price regardless. He's a beast currently. I mean, he has to be. He's playing an outrageous amount of minutes. He basically has to be good. So yeah, he's always worth a one-off, but he's probably the only player I would play from the Sharks tonight. If you want to get some value play, the matchup isn't good going head-to-head with the Sharks' second line for the most part. But Calgary 3 continues to just pour out insane offensive numbers. 41 scoring chances, 4 per 60, 14 minutes, 14 high danger chances per 60, but the minutes just still aren't really there. But they're super cheap still. So, they're always one of my favorite just punt plays. You got Dubé at 3,000, Mangiapane at 4,500. You'd like to see him play more. The matchup isn't great, but their offensive numbers are insane. So you'd imagine that it might be a matchup that they can win if they can continue to stay hot. I like them as some punt options tonight. You can leave Lucic off; he's terrible. If you can afford Burns, you should probably just donate your favorite charity. Yeah, I just don't know how you even fit him in, right? He's obviously a great play, but I just don't know. I don't know how to fit him in tonight. I really don't. In certain lines, obviously certain builds, you can squeeze him in, but yeah, it's going to be tough. All right, Vegas and Seattle. So I don't know what to make of this game, really. Both these power plays are atrocious. The Golden Knights are awful defensively right now. And the Kraken are very good defensively, as you can see by their matchups. I just have no interest in the Golden Knights, which is crazy to say. You would have thought against the Kraken, you'd want some at the start of the season. You'd be like, oh, I'd be all in. But they're just so banged up. And the Kraken have been very good defensively. I said it from the start of the season that I think this team is going to be pretty good defensively. I don't think they're going to score a whole lot of goals. So far, that's held true. Obviously, they just lost the Arizona Coyotes, so they are beatable. The Golden Knights could have some success, but overall, if you're just looking at the match or like the numbers on a 10-game slate, really, really good defensive numbers across the board for the Seattle Kraken. So against a banged up Vegas team, I just don't really see a reason to play the Golden Knights tonight. On the flip side, you've got the Golden Knights just atrocious defensively. If you take a look at D-score, I mean, they just pop up everywhere. The fourth line's terrible. The second line's terrible. The first line's terrible. I mean, they're just terrible defensively. So yeah, I don't know really who to play from the Kraken, but the top two lines both have pretty solid offensive numbers, both averaging over 30 scoring chances, 4 per 60. Their expected goals for percentages are well above 60. Corsi's well above 60 as well. So both those lines look like pretty reasonable options. They grade out extremely well. Schwartz at 3,800, Wenberg 3,000, Eberle 4,800. You can full stack the top line for 11,600. The second line with Tanev, Gord, and Yarncroc, you can full stack for 10,700. I'm not really buying into the Brandon Tanev hype train. So yeah, to me, it's the top line for sure. You got Schwartz, Wenberg, and Eberle. Those would be the line that I would target. But obviously, if you want to take a stab at the second line, go for it. But you've got Wenberg on the second power play unit, but you got Eberle and Schwartz on the top power play unit as well. So a lot to like there. Again, I said that they both two of the worst power plays in the entire league right now. So not really a whole lot to like, but both penalty kills are also terrible. So maybe something gives tonight. They both grade out with pretty good power play scores, just strictly because how bad the other team's penalty kill is, specifically Vegas, which is by far the worst penalty kill on the entire slate. So terrible 5v5 defensively, terrible penalty kill. Lots of reason to like the Seattle Kraken tonight to put on a couple of goals at the very least. And then, yeah, you got the 10th game of the night. Might as well stick on this power play page. The Ducks and Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver's penalty kill is terrible. Ducks power play right about league average, but still gives them a decent power play score because of how bad Vancouver's penalty kill is. The Ducks are, outside of maybe the Red Wings, and my bias is probably showing a little bit there. The Ducks have to be one of the most surprising teams in the NHL this year. They're playing great. I mean, Troy Terry is a freak. He's a man possessed right now. Trevor Zegras missed their last game. Unclear if he returns tonight. So their lineup is a little bit in flux, but overall, the top line would probably be the one that you want to play. The problem is they have the worst matchup of the entire team. But overall, this game looks like it could be high scoring. The matchups for both teams, very, very good because both teams not very good defensively. When you look at these two sides, both, a lot of red across the board here defensively. So there should be some goals poured in this one, as long as, especially now that Thatcher Demko is not starting because he's just been a man possessed as of late as well. So I don't know. The second line of the Canucks looks really solid. The numbers look great overall. Pettersson, Besser, Miller, their numbers have been really, really bad this year. But they do have a nice matchup. So maybe this is a spot, kind of a get right spot for them. Maybe a spot for them to bounce back a little bit. Vancouver won. You get him at a very nice price. Miller 4,800. Which is crazy cheap. He's played pretty well thus far. Pettersson 6,200. Besser 4,600. So a nice price point for them. Again, if John Gibson continues to stand on his head, they might not have as much success. The second line grades out better just because their numbers are better and they're much cheaper as well. But I've never really been big on playing Bo Horvat. He's similar to like Philip Deneau in Montreal. The 5v5 numbers always look good, but they don't usually, like, the goals don't usually follow suit. Kind of a spreadsheet line as opposed to, an on ice producing line. So while the numbers are impressive, I just don't love it. And then on the Duck side, the top line continues to play very well. Terry at 5,900, Getzlaf 6,100, and Henrique at 6,400. They're just probably too expensive for me at this point. If Demko was playing, I probably would have avoided them completely. With Halak starting, the matchup looks okay. They're going to see a lot of the Horvat line, which has been pretty good defensively. So overall, I think that they're an okay play. Am I going to play them? Probably not. I have a hard time buying into Ryan Getzlaf and Troy Terry. I know they've been red hot, but I'm just on a 10-game slate. I don't know if I'll get there. And maybe the late slate, perhaps. But overall, the matchup isn't great. Horvat should do a nice job against them. The rest of this team, without Zegras, it depends if Zegras plays or not, but like the rest of this team's terrible. So, yeah, it would be first line or bust, but it's not a great matchup, and it's hard to pay that price for Troy Terry and Ryan Getzlaf. I think if I was doing anything in this game, it would probably be just taking a stab with that Vancouver Canucks top line and just hoping for the best. It hasn't been pretty lately, or like so far this year. 22 scoring chances, 4, 5.5, high danger, just really ugly numbers from them. So not a whole lot to like in that game, really. Gibson or Peterson for goalie. Probably Gibson. Just been playing better. But like if Dvorak and Josh Anderson are out, I do like Cal Peterson as well. I think Cal Peterson is really, really good. If Dvorak and Anderson are out, then I like that. I like him a lot as well. In terms of goalies overall, let me just pull up the defenseman really quick here. So yeah, if you missed yesterday's show, this just kind of helps to identify some of the cheaper options that provide you with a safe floor. Tonight's top value, tonight's top value options. It looks like it is Matt Grzelcyk. Brandon Carlo looks solid, 2,200. Matt Grzelcyk 3,400. Radko Gudas again at 2,900. Eric Chernak, not quite as hot as he was early in the season, 3,500. Gustav Lidstrom, 2,500. Another decent one. Marco Scandella should be solid tonight. Should play tons of minutes with Torrey Krug out. So those are kind of your top floor guys that can provide you with a somewhat safe floor at really, really cheap price. If we're taking a look at upside here, again, sorry about Brancham. Oliver Shillington continues to play very, very well. He's had a nice year. Doesn't give you the same floor, but he has been chipping in offensively. He's just 3,000. I like Shillington a lot. Jakob Slavin, far too cheap at 3,600. Again, Marco Scandella popping again. Susie's poured in a couple goals, so that's probably a little bit misleading. Mike Matheson, Brandon Montour. So And then Philip Hronek, I think, is definitely solid as well. A lot of people are going to flock towards Moritz Seider, but Hronek has kind of worked his way back into the mix in Detroit. 3,300, still a guy that's playing over 23 minutes a night. So, yeah, hopefully this tool helps you guys. If there's any tweaks you'd like to see made, please reach out on Twitter or whatever. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. But to me, I just think it's an easy way to just identify guys that are getting involved across the board. So I like it so far. If you guys don't, let me know, and we can definitely make some tweaks. But that is that. For that, let me just pull up my projections for goaltenders again. You can't see these unless you subscribe to Daily Faceoff Premium for as little as $19.99 a month. And then if you play season long, you can bundle some shit together, get a fantasy season long fantasy, get our DFS package all together. Very, very nice. All right. Goaltenders for tonight that I like. Mackenzie Blackwood's popping for me, which is a little bit surprising. I don't really love it, but in the projections, he is popping because he's expected to see the most rubber on the entire slate. We have him projected to see 33.3 shots, which is insane. Other goalies that should see plenty of workload tonight: Anton Forsberg, Cal Peterson, Alex Nedeljkovic, Marc-Andre Fleury, Connor Hellebuck, and Frederik Andersen. Top goalie play is got to be Jeremy Swayman at 8,600. He's just, basically a lock to win. So Swayman, but he's 8,600, so it's going to be very hard to get there. If you're looking for somebody a little bit more reasonably priced, I think Cal Peterson is probably your guy at 7,400. I think Connor Hellebuck is okay at 7,600. I'm not going Stuart Skinner at that price. 8,400, far too expensive. I think Chris Driedger is somebody who's pretty interesting to me at 7,300. I just think that, like I said, they're a very good defensive hockey team. The Golden Knights are super, super banged up. So I think Peterson at 7,400 and Driedger at 7,300 and Gibson at 7,100. Those would be my three favorite value plays tonight. Wyman on Montreal power play. Yep. He is on power play 1. It's kind of like a 1A, 1B situation right there for them tonight, but he's another decent punt play as well. Blackwood played very well in his first game. Yeah, Blackwood's just a really, really good goalie. I don't, love the matchup tonight because, as I mentioned yesterday, the Panthers absolutely dominated the Rangers. Rangers, again, not a great 5v5 hockey club, but I think Blackwood, if you're building a ton of lineups, is okay to sprinkle in because if he does play well again, he's the most likely goalie to go over the 35 shot or 35 save bonus tonight. So he's the guy whose ceiling is incredibly high. He could also get shelled, right? You know what you're getting. It comes with a lot of risk, but he's definitely somebody who's got a high ceiling at a low price tag tonight. So, but yeah, Driedger, Gibson, Blackwood, and Peterson would be favorite line for me tonight. Honestly, it's Detroit 1. And I say that with a Larkin jersey hanging over my shoulder and a Red Wings jersey on, but I think that they're in a great spot with Skinner starting. And I just think that everybody thinks that Edmonton is just a juggernaut and they don't really realize how, that they're only good on the power play, really. I shouldn't say only good. Like, they're obviously very good at 5v5 still, but they're overrated for the most part. Their power play is just insane. So yeah, I think Detroit 1's great. I really like Seattle 1 a lot as well. I really like St. Louis 2. I really like Boston 2. Those are probably my favorites. I think Boston 2 is going to go severely under owned tonight in a really good spot. I could be wrong. I'm terrible at projecting ownership. I've been a little bit better this year, but I do like Boston 2 a lot at that price point. Craig Smith at 2,700 is by far the best value play on the whole slate. Feels like a trap game for the Oilers after a big emotional win versus Rangers. Yeah, Brock is a homer. No, I have a feeling with that too. It does feel a little bit like a trap game for the Oilers to me. But the Red Wings, like I mentioned, are not good defensively. So the Oilers could lose this game and it could still be 6-5. And Connor and Leon still have their patented 4-point nights. So really high on LA tonight. I think especially if Dvorak and Josh Anderson don't play, I think LA is solid. I've been an LA truther in the past. I don't know. I can't get behind it the way the lineup's currently constructed. I still think that second line's okay. Deneau revenge game at 2,900 is nice. Nice. Athanasiou is a far better hockey player than 3,000. We'll see if the Wings are for real. Yeah, they're solid. They're not for real. Like I still don't think they're a playoff team, but I mean, if Jakub Verano was in this lineup right now, I think they'd be more for real. Can't pay Kopitar stack tonight. Yeah, I just you'll get him at super low ownership. It's hard for me. Like I just don't see myself squeezing Kopitar into the lineups at 7,600, but I don't know what he is on FanDuel if he's any cheaper. But all right, we're coming up on the 46-minute mark here. So that is going to do it for today's DFO DFS report. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. Please smash that like button on your way out. Helps a ton. Hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't ever miss an episode. Good luck tonight. Hopefully you return with more money in your bankroll tonight than you had tomorrow than you had tonight, excuse me. And then if you aren't already, please sign up for DFO Premium, $19.99 a month. Just goes a long way in helping me out. And you also just get access to these charts so much earlier in the day. You can start your game planning much earlier. You also get access to our premium tool, our premium projections, lineup optimizer. Just makes building lineups that much easier. So yeah, do all those things, and we'll see you guys back here for tomorrow's 3-game slate. Good luck. Oh, need the Hattie for tonight. Tonight's hat trick call. Woo. Hat trick call. Craig Smith, 2,700. It's got to be Craig Smith. And then I'll just double down on my Red Wings bias. Lucas Raymond and Craig Smith. A couple right wingers. Just gonna fill the cage tonight. Bertuzzi. No, we'll go with Lucas tonight. Okay, good luck, guys. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow.